Well, the union rep's role is a number of things, but part of it is being a counsellor in essence. So they should be actually listening to what the union members saying, picking up on their fears. A lot of union members will, if they're off sick, they'll be worried about what the employer is having to say about the whole issue, and they'll be concerned about any repercussions. So a good union rep will be listening to what the member has to say and reassuring them. One of the problems with union members is that they're off sick and they want to return to work too early for a number of reasons, because they don't want to let their colleagues down, and also because they're just desperate to get back. I think as a good union rep, what you need to be doing is advising them that rushing back to work doesn't help them and doesn't help the employer in the long run and doesn't help their colleagues. So they need to return to work at the right time and take notice of what the doctor's saying on the fit note. The sick note procedures can be a bit of a minefield. So a good union rep will be explaining it to the member, because the member won't have experienced this before. They can also be explaining it to the employer, because a lot of employers don't understand their own procedures. A union rep, because they'll have seen a number of cases like this, will understand the procedures and be able to explain them properly to the union member and to the management. I think that the rep should realise that he can't solve the whole world's problems, that there's a limit to the expertise and there's a limit to how far he should go. The first step is to reassure the member and try to see if there's an amicable way to solve the problem. Not every problem has to go to the nth degree. Sometimes a friendly chat or an amicable chat with the management can sort of iron out the problem and iron out the issue. Well, there might be an example where the employer hears what the employee has to say and sees what's on the fit note, but decides not to implement the recommendations in the right way, and the condition may start to worsen as a reaction to that. In those circumstances, hopefully the member will come to the rep and we'll be able to have a discussion about what's going on, and the rep can make further recommendations to the manager to try and get the original fit note put into place. It could be that the employer makes recommendations, puts the recommendations into place. The employee may well not be happy with what's put in place, and if that's the case, then what they need to do is to come back to the rep, and a good rep will be proactive on this and will be keeping in touch with the member to make sure that they're happy with what's going on. If the member's not happy, then the rep can go along to the employer and make further representations and adjust whatever has been put into place. They should be constantly reviewing the whole process. They need to be there always for the member. They need to be there to support them and to advise them. They have a greater degree of knowledge than the member themselves, so they should be using that knowledge, but they should always be aware of the limits of that knowledge, that they're not lawyers. When it comes to aspects of contract law, then they shouldn't really be getting involved in that, however good they think they are at it. They should always be aware that the best way to resolve any issue is through negotiation and through dialogue. In some circumstances, an employer may decide that they want to change the terms and conditions of the employee's contract because of what's written on the fit note. Clearly, we would regard that as unacceptable. However, it's the union rep shouldn't just go ahead and blindly give advice, because contract law can be notoriously complex. They should look at each case on its merits, but they shouldn't be giving advice that they're not sure about. It's not a problem to say, I'm not sure, I'll get back to you. It's better in the long run. Go and seek advice from your union reps. We have solicitors there. They'll be able to give proper advice. The union rep should be aware that behind them, they have this full force of the union there. There's advisors there, there's access to legal services. All of these services are there to provide information and advice on contract law, which is something the union rep themselves shouldn't really be dabbling in. The other day, one of my reps came to me about a problem in one of our sites, which is a contact centre, where there's basically telephony work. And some people aren't suited to telephony work, whether there's problems with hearing or vocal problems or whatever. Some members there have been unable to work. They've been signed off sick, they've come back with a fit note, and on the fit note it's just asked for adjustments to be made which involve not working on telephony. The problem we've encountered is the employers turned around and said, well, this is a call centre, so that's all we've got. You can either work on telephony or go home. Our advice to the reps in this situation is that the employer is a big employer. The members concerned can be moved to another part of the business. Their health can be preserved and saved, and the employer themselves only have to make a small effort to do this. Well, this is particularly a case where maternity is still an issue in the workplace, where although we have maternity rights, they're not always properly exercised. One of our members returned to work recently after maternity leave, and while she was off, she'd had 3 changes of manager, yet nobody had bothered to let her know of this. There was no keeping in touch for her. She was left more or less to her own devices, and it just sort of shows that for some employers, maternity is a problem rather than something to be celebrated. It's a problem because it messes up the work patterns for the employer. Paternity is exactly the same. If the employer can get away with not offering it, then a lot of the more unscrupulous employers will do.